the boys and I moved into our home on Highland back in June of 2019. It was a house that I happened to accidentally stumble upon while house hunting. I was looking at the home next door, and as my realtor and I were leaving, a for sale sign was being placed in the front yard. We asked if we would be able to take a look. We got the thumbs up, and I instantly fell in love. The home was built in 1912. It still had some of the old charm to it. The original built-in pantry, the gorgeous handrails, and the staircase are what absolutely caught my eye. Remember those, because those do come into play later. Our first crazy story doesn't start with me, but my brother. A few days after moving in, he was on my second floor putting towels away in the hall closet. He heard someone approach behind him and in a deep man's voice say, "Hello." He turned around thinking someone else showed up. No one was there. I was outside with all of the kids. He was completely alone in the house. Not long after, I would hear knocking, footsteps in the attic, doors open and close. It was a new big house. I obviously brushed it off until it started with my kids. 2 of the 3 bedrooms had a closet. My youngest son originally had one of the rooms that did. He didn't stay there very long. He would almost always end up in his brother's room sleeping with him. When we would ask him why he was so scared to sleep in there, he would say that at night, someone was trying to open his closet door. The handle would shake and sometimes the door would too. My oldest son thought silly of it and asked if they could switch rooms. If his brother wanted to sleep with him in there, he was fine with that, but he didn't believe that anyone was trying to come through any door. It would be a while before he started hearing anything from that closet, but when it did start, he started hearing things at his door too. Come September, that's when I really started to believe other things were going on in the home. I had gotten off work early. I had a meeting with someone coming to the house, and I was home alone. I opened the front door to our covered porch to not only let our guests know that I was home, but so I could see her when she showed up. I should lay out how that area looked. We had a large all-season porch where you could enter from the front room that we used as a computer area. To your left was the living room. Straight ahead was the stairs and the kitchen. While in the kitchen, I heard a woman politely say, "Hello." I assumed my guest had shown up, so I started to head towards the front of the house to find no one there. As I stood there confused, looking out the windows, I heard the woman's voice again, but it was coming from the stairs. It was soft, almost as if I had startled her. "Oh, hello there." I whipped around and responded with a very confused, "Hello?" I sat outside until my guest showed, never mentioning it to her or anyone else that I had heard it. Later that night, I decided to take a bath. While in the tub, I could hear footsteps from the attic directly above the tub, as if someone was pacing. It was a spacious attic that I intended to convert into a bedroom down the road. Very empty, very open, and very creepy. It always felt like you were being watched up there. There was zero reason I should have been hearing footsteps. We had no trees near the home, no way a raccoon could enter, and the steps were too loud for a squirrel. The following day, my brother and I had decided to go up and check. Possibly something snuck in and I didn't know. In the corner of the above bathroom, he found a very old deck of cards scattered. He happened to lift a board where he found a small glass vial named Ampoule number 11, caffeine soda benzoate, and an old razor head to a lady's razor. The photos you can see right now. A few days had passed and once again I found myself home alone. I was cleaning the half bath that was attached to my kitchen, my faithful dog always underfoot. Then clear as day, I heard, "Come, puppy," in a very childlike voice. I froze. Apollo, my pooch, lifted his head, tilted it, ears back as if he could see something. He stared into the front room for a few moments. Then the dummy ran towards whatever he heard. By then, I was done. I don't recall who or how we ended up in this next position, but we did. October. Wadsworth TV had contacted me asking if they could bring a psychic into my home. They would do some research into my house and see what they could find prior to the investigation. I'm very open-minded. I figured it wouldn't hurt to get some history on the home. However, they couldn't find anything. The only thing they could definitely tell me was that the founder of Wadsworth Pee Wee football had lived there for quite some time. I had told them nothing about my experiences, just that things had been happening. When the psychic first walked in, she said that the first thing that she saw was a woman standing on the landing of my stairs. She mentioned that she had her hands over her ears, expressing that she didn't like the loud noises. Later, it came out that this woman was a mother. She could tell she was suffering from depression. She loved that the boys were there, but the loud noises made her anxious. The psychic also encountered a man who liked to hang out in the upstairs hallway. He often would try to enter a bedroom from either the door or the closet, but the woman wouldn't let him in. He would stand there, shaking the door, hoping someone would open it. He was an observer and liked to watch. Neither were malicious. She felt a very heavy presence in the attic. She was assuming that was where the woman liked to hang out the most, but didn't like anyone in her space. Lastly, we entered the basement. I did have a sub pump, which she said was an energy channel for a passing presence. They would never stay long, a day or two max, and go their way. At that moment, we heard a very loud, "No!" come from somewhere in the basement. They did catch audio. I was told they caught a few things, one being a photo from the attic. I, however, never saw any of the evidence. I decided to throw a Halloween party that year. In the backyard, I had a spacious garage and a large deck. My parents and younger brother both came over to help with final preparations. We were just talking, finishing up, when from the upstairs window we heard, "Mom!" Both my mom and I stopped and looked up at the window. It's a neighborhood. Anyone could have been yelling, but it was late at night during the school week. We looked at each other and we heard it again. This time, my brother bolted for the house. As he approached the back sliding door, he saw a shadow dart right to left. He thought someone was in the house and went chasing after the shadow as I bolted upstairs. Both boys were in their own rooms, both asleep. No one else was in the house. I always heard the kitchen pantry doors open and close. They had old metal turn latches, so when they would latch close, you knew where the sound was coming from. I also eventually had to buy a camera for my kitchen because my oldest son started to sleepwalk. I was assuming it was him slamming cabinets at night. That was never the case. Anytime my camera would pick him up sleepwalking, he never made it to the kitchen. He would stand in the doorway for a few moments, turn, and head back to bed. Unfortunately, because of the angle of the camera, I never caught evidence of the cabinets opening and closing. While two friends and I were sitting in the kitchen, one mentioned that she felt a cold hand come across her back. As we all sat there, one of the bottom cabinets started to profusely shake as if someone was trying to get out. I opened it, thinking maybe the cat had gotten stuck inside by some weird accident. It was empty. Another time, while my mother and middle brother were in the kitchen with me, we heard loud footsteps come storming up from the basement. We all turned to look, thinking one of the kids snuck down there. It was empty. That was a sound that started to become more frequent for anyone who was there. A few months passed with very little major activity. A family friend moved in with me and was staying in the basement. One afternoon, my brother and nieces came over. While watching the kids play, his face went from laughing to completely white and he asked, "Is Cody upstairs?" I shook my head no. He bolted upstairs to see if anyone was up there. He saw a black arm reach around the corner, elbow down. A head peeked around the corner. There was no face. He said he knew they locked eyes, but there was no eyes to see. and it slithered back. I saw that exact shadow at some point, but not on the stairs. It was in my closet. As I was putting laundry away in my dresser, I happened to look at my blank TV. Behind me was my closet. The light was on, so it was reflecting into the TV. Behind me, I saw that same shadow, from the top right of my closet, reaching out and peeking at me. I quickly reacted with, "Nope," and slammed my closet door. We never saw that shadow again. Footsteps in the attic became common. My bedroom and bathroom seemed to be the main rooms where you could hear it. We ignored it as much as possible until one night we couldn't ignore it anymore. I had several friends over, both of my brothers and two of their friends, myself, my cousins, my best friend, and my brother's girlfriend. We, the women, happened to be digging through my closet when from the one corner of the room we heard 5 loud knocks. Laughing, thinking it was my brothers, I stood on my bed and banged back. Just as fast, it happened again. We decided that we were going to go up there and tell them to get out. When we entered the attic, no one was up there. As we walked downstairs, confused by what happened, I looked out the front window and I saw my brothers and their friends walking down the street towards the house. I joked that maybe the lady was telling us we were being too loud. I unfortunately had to sell my home, as much as I didn't want to. I tried to do as much of the cleaning myself before we listed it. I showed up, started to clean, and heard stomping coming from the second floor and a door slam. I bolted out of the house and called my realtor, who happened to not live far and was already on his way over. He joked that people have a tendency to break into old homes. I should have called the police department, not that moron. But at that moment, I wasn't thinking. We searched the house. Zero activity that anyone had been there since the day before when I was there last. Did someone break in? Zero clue. Was it my ghost friends? Possibly. I'll never know.